Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining in this session. So we see more of the attendees joining in. So we'll just give it a couple of minutes so that everyone can join in, and we'll be starting and within a 5-minute sharp. So everyone, thank you for your patience, and let's wait for the others to join in. Fine. Hope we'll be starting in another minute or so. So let me explain the basic rules, the ground rules of the session. All the attendees will be in the listen-only mode. So before I start off with the session, I just want to make sure that you all understood the rules. So all the attendees will be in the listen-only mode. And if you have any questions or queries, you can always always post your queries in the Q&A box, and we have experts who is also seeing to that, so they'll try to answer you those questions. If those questions are not answered in the session, we'll make sure that it is answered through an email, which you'll be getting at a day after this session. And moreover, this session is a recorded one, so you can even check the recorded copy of the session in our website. Maybe at the end of the call, we'll just give you the website details. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, we are starting on with the Vembu's webinar for the day. Yeah. So let me give you a brief introduction of what Vembu is. We are the backup and disaster recovery vendor who is present in this market since 2002. So that's what I said. It is literally about more than a decade and a half years of experience only in this backup and disaster recovery marketplace. And we have our footsteps kept in 100+ countries, over 60,000+ businesses who are still using our product. The next, to be on a nutshell, I'll just introduce our product to you. So what we are going to talk about is Vembu BDRSuite. So in that, we are going to talk about a specific product. Now, let me give you an overview of what this Vembu BDRSuite is all about. The Vembu BDRSuite is a single flagship product of Vembu. So this package encapsulates many product features in it, with which you can take a backup of your virtual environment, you can take a backup of your physical environment, you can take a granular level of backup, as well as some of the cloud-based backup services also are provided by us. So when I say about virtual environment, we provide a VMware, both backup and replication for the VMware. We have a Hyper-V backup, where you can even back up your clusters and SMB servers. And when I talk about the physical server, it is like a Windows disk image level backup for the servers that we provide. Apart from that, we also have a backup for Windows workstations. So these are the image level backup that I'm going to categorize it and put it on one category, like image level backups. And more about the granular level backup is the second category. When I say about granular level backup, it is going to be a file and application level backup. So this file and application level backup can be taken for your Windows workstations, or your Windows file servers, or Linux servers, or your Macintosh. So any of these three popular operating system, you can try to take a granular level of backup. And when I say about applications, most of there are about 6 applications that we provide support to. So the 5 basic are the Microsoft applications, like Microsoft Exchange Mailbox. So then we have Microsoft SQL, Microsoft SharePoint, and Microsoft Outlook. Apart from this, we also support MySQL as a backup. Then moving on towards the AWS backup, which is a cloud native backup that we provide. And we also provide a backup for your SaaS-based applications, both Office 365 and G Suite. So this is on the backup part. And for the DR, we provide you an option to have a secondary copy of your data stored either in Vembu Cloud DR or an offsite location of yours, where you can install your offsite DR, Vembu offsite DR in that in your data center there. So now, as you could sense, this webinar is totally going to be related to the physical environment backup. Even if you're running a Windows server as a virtual machine, you can take a backup of that too. So we don't have any restrictions on that, but most probably when we take a Windows backup, we generally see what type of backup it is. So in our case, it is disk image level backup. It's an image level backup. That's why I said it's a category. I'll just put that as a category 1. So this physical image level backup of Windows server is the one which we are going to deal with in this webinar. So why this importance for Microsoft Windows servers? Why is Windows servers has to be a big boom in the market space for the backup? Why is it so important? The thing is, literally around more than 60 to 80% of the servers which is running all around this world is all Windows. Okay, only the around 20 to 15% is of Linux, but whereas most of the things are Windows, they rely on Windows. So that is why most of the physical servers we are trying to take a backup, and around this world they are trying to take a backup because that has important data residing in it. So this is few of the customers of Vembu, so we can just keep on to that. And now coming directly into Vembu BDRSuite webinar on overcoming the Microsoft server backup challenges. There are some challenges which is affecting the most globally known used server, that is Microsoft Windows Server. So we are going to talk about what are all the challenges that an IT admin or a sysadmin or even as MSP who's providing the services are facing day to day. So as per the agenda today, we'll be talking about the challenges. There are also some considerations that I've brought it down. I have charted it down in the slides. So we'll be talking about the good considerations for choosing a perfect backup software for your backup of your Windows servers. And based on this, I'm going to pitch on my product, that is Vembu Backup for Microsoft Windows. Then I'll be letting you know how this Vembu BDR helps to reduce your TCO, and then we'll go into a live demo. If we have a time, we can go for a Q&A session, or else, as I said, people will be answering, our team will be answering you directly in the Q&A box that you post in. If not, they'll be sending you an email. So yeah, moving on to the next, the main task is the challenges in protecting the Windows server against a data loss or disaster. See, the protection is always dependent on their protection range is also high. Their people's mindset towards protection of their data is also high. Recently, due to the more of the disasters and more of the ransomware attacks, now people are concentrating more towards the backup and protecting of your data. So let me go more deep into it. So what are the challenges that they face? Main challenges. Well, taking a backup. They know about taking a backup because Microsoft themselves are providing backup solutions. I mean, within they provide a backup solution within them. It is a native backup that what Microsoft provides. So when you go for a legacy backup or a third-party backup, how does it suit you? So what all the things that is more important, or how to take a backup of those Microsoft servers, Windows servers, how to take those backup? What are the considerations that I have, or what are the challenges that I should think about? One is the type of backup. What type of backup that you have to go for? Either are you going to take a complete image level backup of your Windows server, or only a specific files or folders, that is like a granular level of backup that you're going to take for your Windows server. So if I take an image level backup, what are all my usages? But when I talk about this, I'll probably say for an like if you have a physical system, it is better that you go for an image level backup. If I take an image level backup, I would also have an option to recover it granularly, or I can elsewhere boot my backed up data in either in a cloud as an instance, or as a virtual machine, or as a another physical system. So this is what I have to think about while thinking about the challenges. So always I would preferably say to go for an image level backup. This is a solution for challenges one that I'm saying. That is a type of backup that I'm previewing. But now going deep into the challenge number 2, the backup speed. How fast that I can take a backup. So what should be my RPO? What happens if I have a higher RPO rate? And what happens if a RPO rate is low? So that is main thing that each and every IT admin or the backup manager, while charting down your backup plan, you have to think about. So this is the main strategy that is what will play the rest of the role for you after a disaster strikes or a abnormality strikes in your environment. So the backup speed is more important, and how fast, how quickly you could take a backup is also important. The data consistency. So I just always make sure when I'm taking an image level backup, it is only because of the VSS snap that I'm going to take a backup. So there should not be a mismatch of the data, or the integrity of the data should not be lost. What if even while taking a backup, what if my data gets corrupted? Then I can't restore a proper image of my data. So obviously the consistency of a data is very important. Well, that is what is going to speak for your integrity. So the data consistency is my third challenge that I have to look for. My fourth challenge, the recovery time. So even backup is okay, right? You can archive, it is just an archival of data. So I understand you can take a backup, but when you are stuck with a disaster, do I serve the purpose of restoring my data without even a single loss? That is very important. So the recovery time, which is defined as RTO, that is a recovery time objective. So that is more important. So how fast can I restore a critical data? Or when I say about data, it is a backup of your Windows machine, Windows server. So how fast I can restore my Windows server to another as a virtual machine or whatsoever. So how fast can I do that? And how fast can I access that? So for example, if consider a small or medium businesses which is running an important customer claim of them, so they're just running through their businesses, and all those data is very important. Let me keep it as a file of national security. So that is very important. And so each and every time, immediately, there should be a data that is running in, or even a cell phone company, a network service provider, something. So what happens if they get to lose some of the data, or if there is a huge gap of time from what they have backed up to what they have recovered? If there is a huge backup time, huge gap of time, how then those time gap, how are they going to fill it? So what are the loss that is going to happen because of this time gap? That is the fourth challenge that we have to think about. So you have to think about the recovery time objective, how fast you can recover your data that you have taken a backup. The recovery options. So what are all the options that I get to see when I take an image level backup? It is not just one single option that you can restore. You should have multiple options. For example, I have taken an image level backup of around 100 gig of my machine, a physical server machine of Windows. I have taken 100 gig of that machine. And when I just need one particular file at that moment. So I should have one file access. That is enough. I don't have to restore the total 100 gig, and then I have to that takes little time. So how many options should I have to restore? It should not be on one single restore button, but I should have multiple recovery options. So what are all the recovery options that is needed in my backup case as a backup strategy? That is the point number 5. That is the point number 5 for your challenge. And the point number 6, storage medium. Where can I store my data? That is one question. Where all can I store my data? That is the second question. So where I'm going to store my data primarily as a copy is one. Whereas where all I can store my data with multiple copies of that particular primary data is concept number 2. So we always should have a 3-2-1 backup strategy. So once you have that storage, for example, I take a copy of a photocopy of my machine. For example, even let me consider as I'm taking a photocopy of a document. I'm just having that original copy in my production site, and then I have another photocopy of that stored in my another site. Okay, and that similar photocopy, I have it to be stored as a PDF in my cloud. So literally I have 3 copies. So whenever one goes, I can get to restore. So I can be always aware that I always have 3 copies of my data. Even if one goes out, I can bring back another. So that is how your storage should be. And what all the storage mediums that you support is also very important. So that is a challenge, that is the 6th challenge that everyone is going to face. The reliability of the data. As I said, when you have a good storage medium and you have a good recovery options, obviously the reliability of the data is directly proportional to both of the above said challenges. So once you have those 2 clear, you'll always have an easily you can always rely on your data easily, where you can recover them within seconds. And where all you can recover is also coming under the recovery options and storage medium. That is depending on it. Then we have the before last, we have a simplicity of the data. A simplicity of the solution that you're going to that helps you to restore. So your backup solution, or the backup solution that you have chosen to take a backup, should not be more complicated. It should not it should not be a challenge for you to operate that backup solution. So it should be more easy for you. It's the simplicity, the user interface, the user integrity, all this comes under this simplicity. So this is also a challenge. Most of the customers whom we see, they just say that the backup solution is some of the backup solutions that they have previously used are more it is not that user friendly. So without having a solution which is not user friendly, we can't have a better environment for your backup. So there should always be a simplicity maintained in the backup solution. So that is also a challenge that we have to think about. Then the cost efficiency. Yes, this is at last, well, I have to sum up all those things. It will come under one single name, the cost. See, literally around this globe, more than 50 to 55 to 60%, it is all small and medium businesses and the mid-range businesses. So they can't spend much on the backup. Their backup strategy or their backup plan, backup and disaster recovery solution. So you should provide them a solution that is affordable, even for both a single user, a single consumer, or also as a firm. So they should have that affordability for that solution. So the cost efficiency is which also plays a main challenge, a phase of the challenge, when you try to take a backup of your Windows server machine. So these are the challenges that I hope I've explained you. Then are we moving on to the next? Considering those challenges of your Microsoft Windows Server backup, there are 5 factors that is very important that helps you to choose your right backup solution for your Windows Server. So let us just see what are all those five. All those five, we just start with data consistency and integrity. So this is the point number one, your data consistency and integrity of the data. So when you choose a solution, backup solution, you should be more aware that this backup solution vendor or the backup solution does not leak your data out. And while taking a backup, it is obviously, as I said, it is an image level backup. So when you're taking an image level backup, how the data is integrated, because it's an image level backup, you'll be doing all your compression, deduplication, and that should never affect the image's frame. So that is very important. So the data consistency, and while taking for example, if you're running any application on that physical machine, while taking a image level backup, that application should not be, because it is a continuous application. For some of the cases like Microsoft Exchange or Mailbox, the writers will be keep on writing, application writers will be keep on writing. So while you take a snap, you should make sure that the writers are stable, and then you have to take a snap. Your backup solution should take a snap, an image. So while you take an image while the applications are functioning, then obviously there will be mismatch of data, and there are chances where your data may go corrupted. So always the integrity and the consistency of the data is the first most important point for any backup solution that you have to think about. Second, there should be a lesser RPO and RTO. As I told you, see, like when you have a nearby RPO, for example, if a maximum RPO, you can just bear up to a loss of 10 minutes or 15 minutes. That is somewhere you can cope up with. So you should have a backup which is trying to take you from single minute till a maximum of 15 minutes. But again, it is always dependent on the customers or the end users who's going to decide on how their backup rate should happen. So when all the backup, when all the frequency should be there, so they can decide. For example, for some of the firms, they should have an immediate backups taking place within minutes. They can't even lose a single minute of their data. But there are firms that industries or firms that always can bear up to 24 hours. They can. It is enough if they run their backup on 24 hours. And there are some companies, even if it is enough, they run their backups on weekly basis. So this is how it is categorized. So you should have that option. So the lesser, whichever the backup solution that is providing you a lesser RPO and RTO while recovery time, that is also important. So you should have a lesser RTO than the time frame should be comparatively less than your RPO time. If, for example, if I'm choosing 10 minutes of my RPO, so every 10 minutes of interval I'm going to take a backup. Okay, so within that 10 minutes, I'll be within this 10 minutes I should be having an option to restore. So that is what my RTO is. So always you should have a lesser RPO and RTO. Okay, and then instant recovery and granular recovery options, the multiple recovery options which I told you about. So instantly, for some of the system engineers or IT admins, they need if they are stuck with a disaster, they need their machines to be booted up instantly without any loss. So that should happen instantly. So there should be an option literally for like a DR purpose. You should have an instant recovery of your data, so that you can you just don't lose much of your data, works or data. And then you should have a granular recovery option. As I told you, if I'm taking a complete image level backup, I should always have a granular option. That will also help me to reduce my time frame of restoring. So the instant recovery and granular recovery options are very important in the recovery options. And then reliable backup. So yeah, that's what I said. When you have a backup storage medium and your recovery options, multiple recovery options, obviously your backups reliability is directly proportional to them. So you'll be able to recover your data at any point of time, and your backups are reliable, which you can post it in even post it in cloud and even run it in cloud. So that is what your reliability of the backup is all depending on. And then the disaster recovery capabilities. For example, as I said, there is one part of the disaster recovery that is instant recovery options. The other disaster type of recovery is having a secondary copy of your data to be stored in an offsite location. That can either be your secondary data center, or you can even have an option to store it in cloud, or you can even have an option to store it in a hybrid environment of yours. So these are the 5 main factors which right choice to back up your Microsoft Windows servers. Okay, so I hope the 5 factors are clear. And moving on to next, now let's discuss about what Vembu is, and we'll be talking about how Vembu BDRSuite simplifies your data protection and reduces your TCO. So with Vembu, as I told, it's a complete package, and one product feature in that Vembu BDRSuite is Vembu backup for Microsoft Windows. With this option, you can take both your backup of your Microsoft Windows servers as well as your workstations, but we'll be concentrating only on the servers because that is what this whole webinar frame is all about. So with Vembu, first I'm starting with an RPO and RTO. So we provide you with a maximum time frame of less than 15 minutes for our RTO, and RPO is from every 15 minutes. So you can start taking your image level backup from every 15 minutes of time interval, where you can also 15 minutes gap of data that you have taken can be achieved less than 15 minutes, within less than 15 minutes. So we have some of the options like instant recovery for and then disk mounts and granular recovery that will help you to achieve this less than 15 minutes of RTO time frame. And then we have an efficient storage management. So since this is our own patented file system, that is Vembu Hive. So since we have our own file system, all the data that is getting stored is in our own file format. So this efficient management of Vembu Hive helps you to store your data as chunks. So even the image level backup that you take will be storing the data as chunks. So that will help you to reduce the storage space more effectively than any other things. And then next is the native tape backup support. This is one of the category under 3-2-1 backup strategy. So we support LTO drives generation 3 and above. So those tape drives are supported, and more predominantly we support auto-loaded ones. So you can archive your data, a full backup, majorly for image levels. It is a full backup that you can store for longer ages. And then offsite copy, as I told you, the disaster copy, that is. So a secondary copy of your data. Apart from this, you can even store it in secondary location, either that can be on-prem secondary data center or on cloud. So when I talk about this native tape backup support and offsite copy support, so already you have the 3-2-1 backup strategy coming up. So if, for example, I'm taking a backup, I have a local storage that is my primary storage for this backup. So I'll get my backup data to be deposited in that storage. That is one. And then I have a secondary copy of my data to be stored in cloud or offsite location. That is 2. And third one is I also have a copy of my backup data that is stored in tapes for a longer ages of time. So literally around I have 3 copies that I can store up to for a single backup job of my Windows server machine. Okay. And then next, so all these things is the basic ones which I have explained before. Now more technical into the basic ones is the compression, encryption, and the verification, that is the data integrity that we are going to talk about. So when I talk about compression, we have inline inbuilt compression and deduplication that will help you to reduce your storage space with a maximum ability. And since we are using our own file system, that is Vembu Hive, we can extend this backup storage. That is, you can scale your storage from what you have to a higher one. Okay, so this compression ratio is morely dependent of the type of backup that you're going to take, but you can achieve about 40 to 50%, more than 40 to 50% of the compression when it comes to an image level backup. Most probably for Windows, it is going to be a disk image level backup. So obviously you can achieve that more relatively about 40 to 50, more than 40 to 50% of the compression rate. And moreover, as I told already, the data are stored in chunks, so the compression rate can also be higher, a maximum to 60 to 70, which can hike up to. And then encryption. So as far as the backup software is concerned, all the data, it is the basic and the most reliable one is the data should be encrypted. Whichever the data that you're trying to take a backup, whichever the environment that you're trying to take a backup, it should be encrypted. The data which you're taking a backup should be encrypted, and make sure that data doesn't fall as a prey for the ransomware attackers or the hackers. So to keeping that in mind, we have an encryption system which is AES 256-bit algorithm, which is a military grade encryption algorithm, and it is more latest in the market. Okay, so this is a standard algorithm settings for the encryption. So we are going with that encryption module, and moreover, as I said before, it should not fall under the prey of the ransomware attackers. The data which you try to encrypt can be password protected. So once you give that password, no one can break through the password, and already the data is encrypted. So it is like adding a password over the encrypted data. And the secondary point is, when I actually take the reference of that Vembu Hive also over here, because when I say about the file, our own file system, the file formats in which we store our backup data is all our own patented file format, that is our own file formats. Okay, so an intruder or a hacker can't just try to restore your data without a Vembu. Okay, so without the Vembu software, they can't try to restore your data or try to break in and sneak peek your data that you have taken. And then now we are coming to the point of reporting. So reporting is most of the cases it is very important, because if, for example, when you're considering about a firm which has 100 to thousands of employees with more than 20 teams working under them, they should be aware of their reporting or the backup status of the machines that they are using. So we have given an utmost importance for this reporting section. So we help you to, with this reporting, we help you to comply with the international standards, where you can even download our reports for your internal audit purpose as a CSV file. You can even send it as email notifications. So when you trigger, we have an inbuilt email notification within our backup software. So when you trigger the environment of email notification, whenever there happens a failure or a success, those details will be immediately ringing your email. And then verification. So the integrity of the data can be checked before it is to be restored. We have a 3-tier verification option. So that is the boot test, the mount test, and the data integrity test. So initially we'll just at every 24 hours of time gap, automatically from the backup storage, the software will boot the machine. It will just mount the data, it will boot the machine, and just take the screenshot of the startup screen and then store it as a report for you on the next day, so that every 24 hours you can check the integrity of your data. That helps you to recover the data, which is more important. So you can check on your backed up data's integrity using this option. And then next, now I'm going to talk about the Windows, Microsoft Windows Vembu backup for Microsoft Windows. That is an overview that I'm going to provide you. So with this, you can take a disk image. You will be taking a disk image based backup for your Windows servers. So where you can completely select all the disks or of the machine, or you can specifically choose any one or two particular disk for your one or two particular volumes for your backup. The next one is we support the bare metal restore. We generally call it as bare metal recovery. So you can perform your BMR for your backed up data, but make sure it is only to the similar hardware that we support as of now. And then instant boot VM recovery. For example, I'm trying to take an image level backup of my physical machine. I can boot that as a virtual machine on a virtual environment. Either it could be a VMware environment or a Hyper-V environment. So the P2V, the cross-platform migration of my data, is achieved using this instant boot VM recovery. And with this instant boot VM recovery, I'll be able to achieve less than 15 minutes of my RTO, so that I actually have any size of my data booted as a virtual machine within seconds. Instant file and application item level recovery is more about a granular type of recovery, so which I am trying to push it in. This is what even Vembu backup for Microsoft Windows have. We have multiple recovery options. I'll be showing you all those in the demo, but we have this instant recovery of your files and application item recovery. And then we have automatic backup verification. That is what I've told you just before, as it is all generally available for both your virtual environment backup as well as your physical environment backup. And all these can be achieved from one single centralized UI. And this is our software is a web-based console. So it is just enough if you give the IP address of your backup server installed machine with 6060, the port number. You can take your server and configure the details through the console. So there is a centralized UI to manage and restore your backup data. Then you have an option to, this is also controlled from the main BDR server, so it is also a centralized UI. So you can have a secondary copy of your data to be stored in offsite location, or you can have it on a cloud, or you can have it on tape. When I say about cloud, I herely mention that it is Vembu cloud. So you can store your data in Vembu cloud, and this Vembu cloud resides in AWS, and tape, as I told, for longer archival of period. So this is the architecture which I am trying to show. So with this Vembu backup for Microsoft Windows, you can take both your workstation, this is your workstation, as well as your Windows Server. So Windows Server we support from 2008 so up to 2019, the latest version. So Windows Server 2019 is the latest version. Till then we support. So for this, you can try taking a backup. This is your, you should have a dedicated backup server. This is where like you have to install it on a server environment. You can have the BDR installed on the server environment, a dedicated backup server with all its resources. Even the storage is to be dedicated one. It can be a NAS drive or a SAN drive, or even you can even have your local storage volumes to be a dedicated backup storage. Okay. So from here, you'll be once you install, you just add the IP address of this particular server machine, Windows Server machine. So through an agent, will be taking a backup of your complete machine. So you can select either you can, if you want to take only the system disk, or you want to take the complete image of the disk, you can choose it from here, from your BDR server. So from this BDR server, you can archive it for a longer period of time through by putting it in a native tape drive infrastructure, or you can send a copy of that backup data to the Vembu cloud or to the offsite DR. In offsite DR also we have an option to attach your tape drive. So you can attach your tape drive and have this data, the replicated data, to be stored in your tape drives. Yeah. So yeah, in the offsite DR location, you have an option. This is in this offsite DR, you can recover your data. You'll have the similar multiple recovery options which you see in this BDR server, in the same in this offsite DR server also. So this is the overview of the architecture. So now we'll just move on to the live demo. Yeah. So I'm just taking the console of my machine. I'm just logging in with my default username and password, which is admin and admin. Once you log in, it will initially it will ask you for a BDR ID. So you have to give this a BDR ID. It can be a unique ID that you can give, and then you have to configure your repository. So when I talk about this repository, this is the backup repository, which we say is a storage space where all your backup data gets to store. So when I click on, I've already done for my demo purpose, but still, when I click on create backup repository, it will list down all the local storage volumes that I have. If, for example, if you have a NAS drive or a SAN drive, you can just click on add network drive as a storage option. Just understand the prerequisites that we have mentioned before. Give the drive name, that is a shared name of the folder or the NAS drive that you have, then the drive name to display, and then save it. Once you save it, it will be listed as a storage volume here. So here I can just pull in, I can bring together two of my local storage volumes. Similarly, I can even pull in my the network drive which I'm adding in. So I can pull that network drive as well as my local storage drive and create a backup repository and choose which one to be my default one at any point of time. For example, and I can also extend it at any point of time. So for example, if this is around 500 gig of data, and if this total 500 gig of data is completely occupied, I can still click on action, that is the edit option. I can add a disk to this data. So like what I've done here. So I can just add another disk so that my total space is raised up to 700 gig of data. Total backup storage space. Okay, so this is how you can do that. So, and then after my repository configuration is done, I'm just going to click on backup. So click on configure backup. I have options for VMware and Hyper-V, and now since it is for Microsoft Windows Server backup, I'm just clicking on Microsoft Windows. So when I click on this Microsoft Windows, I get an option to add my Windows Server or workstation. You can ignore this workstation part. You're just going to add only your Windows Server. So when I add this Windows Server, make sure that you go through this prerequisites. It is like you have to run your BDR backup service, this Vembu BDR service, with an administrator privilege. So that is more important because we'll be using this resources to push agent called VIS. Okay, so VIS is Vembu integration service that will be pushed to the target machine to take the backup. So you have to give your IP address or the host name of that machine which you're trying to take a backup, and the administrator privilege. That is, to have an administrator privilege, you should give the administrator credential of that particular machine that you're trying to take a backup. So once you add the host, the host will be listed down here as shown. And when you try to configure a backup, for example, it is a bit taking a time, but when I try to configure a backup, for example, I've already done that. So when I click on configure backup, I've already taken a backup. So since we're running a service, so I think that is taking time, so I don't want to waste your valuable time. So until the machine pops up, so yeah, I can show those screenshots which I have already taken, so that will help you with the details. So once I after I click on configure backup, I'll get this option. So this is my host which I have added. So hope everyone is able to see this image. So this is my machine. I get to see the disks under this machine. So I can take the complete C drive as well as any of the particular drive, or I can select all the drives to take a backup. Here I've selected D drive, and on next it is my application settings. So that's what I said, the consistency of my backup data. For example, if I'm running a backup, I'm running a virtual machine or a physical Windows Server machine with an application on it. For example, Exchange Server, a physical Windows Server with the Exchange running on it. So when I take a backup of that, I should make sure that my backup of the data, that the disk level or the image level backup that I'm going to take should never affect those applications. So I'm enabling this option of application aware processing. So this helps to quiz those applications before a snap is going to take. So this helps me to make sure the applications are consistent while I try to take a backup. So and then I have this log truncation. So if there is any exchange or transaction SQL logs, transaction logs, so those transaction logs can be truncated using this log truncation option. And I have my temporary files like system files, page file.sys and hyperfile.sys, which could be eradicated using this files exclusion, some of the system files. This is only for Windows which we have. So this complete guest processing or host processing is an optional option. If you want, you can enable, or else you can just leave it disabled and continue to take your backup. And then now coming to the scheduling part. So while scheduling, obviously, like you can, as I told you, you can run your backups from every 15 minutes. So here is the option. So you can run your backup from every 15 minutes at on all the days. And you can also choose from every 15 minutes to hourly basis. And there's an option to run it on daily basis. You can run it from every 24 hours of time gap, or run it on a weekly basis. So as per the design, moving more technically, so as per the design, the initial backup will be a full backup followed only by your incrementals. So as per our Vembu is concerned, it is only 4-hour incrementals that we give importance to. So all the changes, those incrementals are nothing but the changes that happens based on the previous type of backup. So all the changes will be captured using our own CBT driver. So we capture at a block level. So change block tracking is a driver that we use to capture all things at a block level, and we just take it and back up that data and store it as a increment. So this is how your incremental is coming up. And apart from the initial full backup, which I have told you here, if you need any additional full backups, you can enable this additional full backup option to take the backup. And also you have an option to restrict the number of full backups to be stored in your backup repository. So either you can store 1 to 99 full backups. So obviously, like full backups is precisely which I could say it as, for example, if I have a 200 gig of my complete machine, my complete Windows server is of 200 gig of size. So when I take a full backup, it is completely the 200 gig of size that I'm going to take. Okay. Yeah. That is full backup. Whereas incremental is only the changes that happens after I take a full backup, or from one backup to another. What all the changes that has happened, only that will be tracked and taken. That is what we call it as increment. And yeah, the next is the settings part. That is your retention policy. So for example, if I have not enabled this retention policy, like since it is a 4-hour incremental, I'll have all the versions of my backup data which will overfill my storage space. Okay, though is an incremental backup, it will still overfill my storage space. What if I see after 2 years or for the data that I've taken a backup? So when this retention option helps me to retain only certain versions of my backup data, and those certain versions will be the latest versions. Okay, so we have two options in that. So it is like basic retention, and then you have the advanced retention option. So when when it is a basic retention, you will have you can help to have or retain up to from 1 to 999 versions of your restore points. So restore points is nothing but your backups that you have taken. Okay, that involves your incremental backups also. And then advanced is like literally like a grandfather father son methodology. So if, for example, if I choose this perform weekly merge on the restore points up to Sunday, so what happens is I'm taking a backup on this Sunday. Until next Sunday, all the incrementals, that is literally around 6 days of incrementals from Monday till Saturday, will be merged into one single recovery point. Only the incrementals will be merged into one single recovery point on the next start of the Sunday. Okay, on next start of the day, that is Sunday. So that is how you can even do for your monthly merge. Either you can go with a weeks of merge, that is 4 weeks of data will be merged into one single recovery point on the next start of the month, or all the 30 days or 31 days of data will incremental data will be merged into one single recovery point as far as your retention of advanced retention of Vembu is concerned. So on the same settings page, you have another option, like you have a privilege to choose which this backup job that you're trying to configure should go and reside in. So if, for example, in the backup repository, if you have configured around 2 repositories, then you can decide on which of the either repository that you can put this backup job to. So that is your backup repository. And if you feel like you need another backup repository to add on, then you can just create a new backup repository and make sure you save this backup job in that repository. And data encryption, this is what I was mentioning you about. You can encrypt your data. See, all the data is encrypted using AES 256. When you enable this option, you will have an option to add the password. See, this is add encryption password. You can add the password for your data that you have taken a backup, which is encrypted. Okay, so without that, if you make sure you remember the password, without the password, you can't restore the data, you can't delete the backup job or edit the backup job. So that is a secondary layer of authentication of security that we provide for your data. So at last is your review page, as you could see here in this image. So on the review page, you can just add your backup job name and check all the summary of your backup configurations that you have made and save the backup. Once the backup job is saved, once your backup job is saved, I hope that is done at the other side. I'll try taking the machine now. So here I've already configured a backup job. So when a backup job is saved, when I check on this recovery tab, this is my plugin for my backup job. This is a disk image backup that I've taken. You could see Vembu backup for Microsoft Windows. So it is around 12.49 gig of data that I've taken a backup. So when I try to restore, I'll have multiple restore options popping up before me. So these are the restore options. So one is instant boot VM. As I told you, the P2V conversion is performed here. So if I've taken a backup of my physical machine. So for this, it is important that you have to configure your C and Z drive. Okay, because we are booting the complete machine. So when you take a backup of that drives, so what happens is you can instantly boot your physical machine that you have taken a backup as a virtual machine, ready state virtual machine on either an ESXi host or on a Hyper-V host. You can choose the platform. So this is more instant. Within seconds, you can restore even more than 50 to 100 gig of data. For example, these are my restore points. This is the restore point that I can retain using my retention. So when I choose my restore point here I'm choosing my disk. So I've already configured with C and Z drive. Those are the boot configurations. So when I choose, I get to choose either my hypervisor. Either I could choose put it as a virtual machine on a VMware. I give the targeted ESXi host details and all the data store details. I can boot it as a VM or on a Hyper-V. When I choose it on a Hyper-V, make sure your BDR server is running on a Windows machine with a Hyper-V role enabled on it. So what happens is it will boot it as a Hyper-V VM within that machine. And then you have disk or partition level recovery. So you can restore the data, the backed up disk image, to a targeted hard drive at a disk or partition level. For example, if I've taken a D drive as a backup, so I see that my host is going to go down, I can just attach that I can restore that disk from the backup data that I've taken. I can restore that disk to another hardware, that is my another hardware in that which is around. Okay, this is a permanent recovery option, and this is an instant temporary recovery option. And here is a file level. This is a granular level of recovery which I was mentioning to you all about. So when I choose to take a file level recovery, I'm choosing a recovery point again. So if I get to see my disk, so I can choose only the particular files or folders that I have taken a backup. So only a particular files or folders, instead of restoring my complete image, can be done using this file or recovery option. And Microsoft disk mount. So with this disk mount, you can instantly attach the backed up disk of your machine that you have taken, so to the BDR backup server. So this happens through the disk management service. So make sure you are running your BDR server on a Microsoft Windows server machine. Okay. So what happens is it will just mount the backed up data as disk to your BDR server, and download this. This is more of another virtual format. So you can download your disk. Whichever you have taken a backup. You can download into multiple virtual file formats. That is, either you can download it as a VHT or as a VHTX, or you can download it as VMDK and flat VMDK. The VMDK and flat VMDK, you can use it to boot it on a VMware virtual environment. VHT and VHTX, it can be both used for Microsoft Hyper-V, or else you can try to boot it as a machine for your bare metal recovery. Okay, and raw is for all your KVM purpose. And here is application item level recovery. So if you are running any of the applications like Microsoft Exchange, Active Directory, Microsoft SQL, and Microsoft SharePoint in your physical machine, and you have taken an image level backup of that, you can restore that at an item level by using this option. So you'll be using a tool called Vembu Universal Explorer. Using that tool, you can restore the data. So it is similar, literally like file level recovery, a granular type of recovery options. So I hope I have given you over some view of the backup and recovery of your Microsoft Windows server. Now seeing on the reports, so as I told you, you can just check on the backup job level report, which actually helps you to comply with international standards. So in this backup job level report, for a particular, for example, if I'm going to choose for Windows disk image, I get to see all my compressed size, the original data size, and whether it is failed or it is successful. All the details can be checked over here. So I can download this as a CSV file, and for my internal audit purpose, or even in the report section, I have an option to trigger an email notification. So after giving my SMTP settings, I can perform that email notifications. Now, apart from this, we are going to talk about the secondary copy of your data to be stored. That can be done through the infrastructure tab. Just click on the infrastructure tab, come down to offsite copy or DR. So where you have, when you enable this offsite copy or DR, so you can either have your data to be stored in Vembu offsite DR server. So in your secondary data center, just download this offsite DR server. It's a server application. You have to install it on one of the server environment over there in your secondary data center, and just give the IP address of that secondary data center over here. So what happens is the BDR and the offsite DR server will get connected. So you will have the secondary copy of your data to be stored in your secondary location. That can either be a remote office or a branch office. Or if you want to put things in Vembu Cloud, you can directly put your backup the data that have taken a backup to Vembu Cloud DR server. Okay, so that only with the username and password you can try to restore from anywhere at any point of time. And the recovery options for the Vembu offsite DR is similar to what I've just shown you, what you've seen in this Vembu BDR server. So even in this offsite replication, you have multiple replication options where you can set a retention for your offsite copy. You can even have choose when to run and when not to run this replication, offsite copy replication. You can throttle your bandwidth, and if you have a huge amount of full backup, then you can seed that full backup to the offsite location by using the seed backup option. Later on, all its incremental will be followed back there. So this is what your secondary copy of your data is all about. So yeah, so it is all done through this, and you have native tape backup infrastructure. So if you have a tape backup, you can try adding your tape infrastructure here. So once you add to tape, you will have a backup to tape option, so you can have your backup job stored and stay for a longer period of time. As I told you, the tape backup we support is from LTO generation 3 and above, and moreover, it is only the auto-loaded tape drives that we support as of now. So yes, we are coming in to the end of this demo session, and yeah. So yeah, the thing which I'm trying to show you is Vembu.com. So this is our web page. I hope at the end of the call you'll be redirected to the website. So you can just click on this download icon over here, the right hand side. So you can just download the icon download your software, the free download. So make sure you meet this system requirements. So if you're running your BDR server, backup server on a Windows, you have to make sure that all these requirements are met. So you can download it, and you have 30 days of free trial. All the installation and the user guide is all given here. You can even refer to that. If some of the customers are having Linux and they want their backup server to be installed on Linux, we also have that option. You can contact us. We'll give you like a build for Ubuntu to be installed on Ubuntu, and whoever is want to run the backup server on a Docker, they also can get to start using this Vembu BDR. So with this Vembu BDR server, you have 30 days of free trial. So you can start using the product and get back to us if you have any doubts. I see there are now I see that we have come to the end of the webinar discussion. So I also see some of them have asked the questions, and our team is exclusively answering all those. And I see there are more questions in the inbox. So we'll be sending you an email post the session. And the recorded copy of this webinar will be in our website. So even you can just go to our website. Maybe I can show you over here. You can just go to the resources section. You can check on this product webinars. So we'll be adding this recorded copy within a couple of days. So yeah. So these are the you can check on the lively time of our webinar. And on it will navigate you to another page where you can check on all the recorded webinar. On all the upcoming webinars will be there. And if you want any personalized demo on the product, you can just click on product demo option and fill up the details. Any one of our product team member will get in touch with you to explain the details. So yeah, so thank you everyone for joining this session and making it so proud. And we team Vembu is always there to support you in all these cases, and whatever the queries that you have, on all the basic queries or a higher level technical queries that you have related to backup and a disaster recovery, you can always contact us. These are contact numbers for USA and Canada. Obviously, you can check that in a web page which is going to come up next at the end of the session. So you can check our USA Canada number or the United Kingdom number, and you can even send an email to Vembu sales and Vembu-sales@vembu.com for the pricing details, and for technical details you can contact our Vembu-support@vembu.com. So thank you one and all for joining the session once again. So we come to the end of the session. Sorry for the delay that I've taken, and I heartily apologize for my delay because of the network speed from my end. So do bear with me on that, and thank you for bearing with me for that for so long, and thank you so much for joining the session.